about the potential worst ever player to play 100 tests. So, Scalzi, big show ahead of us. How are you doing?
Very, very good, Stevie. Was in bed late last night. I was watching AFC Wimbledon versus Grimsby Town, a absolute thriller of a 0-0 draw. In the dead of the night, and a couple of beers afterwards. So, but we're up early. We're potting on a Wednesday morning, so cannot complain. And a lot has happened, and a lot of sport to come up. Shall we get into our predictions from last week and how we fared?
Yeah, correct. Because I took a 3-2 lead last week, so I want to see if I'm building on that lead or for back to all square here. It's a big moment in the pod here.
It is a big moment. So yeah, for those new around here, every week we make 3 predictions on a football, rugby, and cricket game that is happening this week. And the winner of each week gets a point. Stevie is currently leading me 3 points to 2. Last week we predicted on the Manchester Derby, the 4-day CSA 4-day Cup final, and the URC game of the Bulls versus the Stormers. Stevie, Manchester Derby. So in score, well, what looked like was going to be a potentially United holding on. And doing my boys a favor against United, but against City. But alas, City winning that game 3-1. Stevie, you predicted 2-1. I predicted 3-0. So technically, we both 1 goal off. I'm not sure what the rules are on this setting. Let's get to the bottom of predictions and we can come back to it if need be. It might be our first ever draw. Then we go on to the 4-day Cup final. We both predicted Lions to lose, given their horrible start. To be fair, in both innings, they were 5 wickets down before 100 runs. And then Delano Purgita just absolutely decided that this was his final and went on to score 230 runs between the innings, an 80 and 150 not out. What an absolute insane knock. Also, shout out to Chepo Moreki for getting there's nothing better as a fan than watching your night watchman get runs on the next day, and he went on to get 50, which allowed the Lions to win by 99 runs. Stevie, you predicted a 4-wicket loss, and I predicted an 8-wicket loss. So you're closer, and neither of us were correct by any means.
No. I bet my boys to fare a bit better.
A bit. A bit. 100 runs compared to 4 wickets. But yeah. So that's your point. And then we go against the Bulls versus Stormers and Jeepers, where we off. Maybe it wasn't quite our week, but I went for the game ended. Was it 40 points to 21?
22, I think.
Yeah, 40 points to 22 to the Bulls, and very, very dominant showing. The first time they beat the Stormers would have been 8 in a row, but now it's as they're calling it, a 7-1 split. And so that was Bulls by 18. Stevie, you said Bulls by 5. I said Stormers by 2. So again, way off it, but you are the closer of the two, so we don't need to go back to that Manchester Derby tie because you've taken another point. 4-2 lead.
You want to see my tips? Just follow me on Twitter. I'm basically a punter these days.
Yeah, I hear so, bro. I'm learning at the coalface here. Unfortunately, it's not pretty.
Well, big one this weekend. To be fair, I'm not quite sure what way to go this weekend. So I think this weekend will be a bit of a decider.
Yeah, so this weekend we're going to be making predictions on Manchester City versus Liverpool in the Premier League. We've got England versus Ireland in the Six Nations and New Zealand versus Australia in the Test matches. So stick around to the end to listen to that. But Stevie, let's chat about the rugby last weekend, bro. You must be one happy Lions fan.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was as I was saying, I mean, as I said when I watched along, after being abused by the Sharks social media team throughout the entire
they
week.
deserved that. They
No,
deserved
they
every
did.
bit of that. They were so up in your grill. They were,
sending
it was
shirts.
spiteful. It was spiteful.
No, it was spiteful, but you can't be sending shirts to these guys the week of. I mean, you just announced it this week.
It's
you could have announced it this week.
Yeah, Hendrickse being named in the 23. An hour later, a shirt reveal.
Yeah.
It's like,
How's it, guys? Like, I'm so excited to come and join the Sharks. And same with Emmanuel Tuka, busy posting videos of like the feeling when your brother joins you down at the Sharks. Even the match day graphics. Friday it was like one day till match day with Vincent Tuka. On the actual day, it was like match day with a Piwa Gianti. They used every single former Lions player in the social media, only for them to come up to the park and get decimated 40 points to 10. Good.
It was to be fair, there was a point where I thought the Sharks were getting back into the game after their only try from Keita. To be fair, that was like 30 minutes in, but largely it was just a bit of a whitewash, wasn't it? I mean, the Sanel and Humber pulling strings, you can do it from scrum off as well as it seems, and Kewan Horn playing well, like just a proper effort on the Lions at home. Seems to be building a bit of a slowly building a fortress there as well. I think all South African teams who really bar the Sharks have been are really tough to beat when they're on their home turf.
Yeah, I mean,
which is a good thing.
That's been the biggest issue for the Lions the last few years, the fact that we've actually not been particularly good at home. And I think this season we're slowly starting to get back to that sort of fortress Ellis, which is what we had back in that Super Rugby run we had, where you didn't come to Ellis Park and get an easy game. So I think the biggest difference is that Lions are getting better at home, and then they've been competitive away. And interesting, Jordan Hendrickse gave an interview this morning and said that his goal is to leave the Lions with silverware. He said apparently the goal as a squad is to get to the playoffs for the URC, and they reckon they can go all the way. So I love the ambition.
I mean,
but we'll see how it plays out.
I don't know. Given that a playoff means that you'll probably have to win 3 away games to win the URC is ambitious, but as they say, ambition is priceless. Let's get on to Bulls Stormers then. I mean, first of all, how good is that? Those fans sticking through
terrible weather.
Yeah, terrible lightning, thunder showers. It's all coming down. But they just drank a couple more brandies. I saw there were a couple of speakers before the game had even started. I think people were getting a bit restless.
After it eventually started, an hour later.
Yeah, but a phenomenal game.
It was just, for me, it was interesting because I think the Stormers who have had moments this season where they've been the Stormers that we've seen the last few years, and they've had moments where they've really not been, and they have really been off. And I think this game showed the difference between the Bulls and the Stormers this season, where I think the Bulls have taken so many steps forward. I think that Jake White's learned to trust more of a squad, and I think the squad's got more buy-in because I think he trusts more players, and players who are often on the fringes are now happy to step up and believe that they can be backed. And I think the Stormers are maybe, I don't know if it's fatigue or a bit of sort of a hangover from the first sort of couple of years, but they're just not able to elevate themselves to the same sort of levels of the last few years. Yes, they have lost a few players, but you look at the Stormers side on Saturday, and it was quality Stormers side, but just couldn't really get into the game. A couple of silly errors. I think the pack just didn't really pitch up, and just not getting the best out of what's an incredibly talented backline. But I thought the Bulls also tactically, for the first time against the Stormers, got it very right.
Yeah, I mean, as a Stormers fan, I'm going to say about time, eight times running. But I agree. I think their forward pack dominated us. I think they were so strong, but also there does seem to be a lot more depth now at the Bulls. There's so many, there's rotation every week, and it doesn't seem like they get that much weaker, which is what you want to see when it's your club. I did feel there was a point where the Stormers were not getting anything in that direction. Just almost like that little grubber through with Kane and Moody scoring. Yeah. That thing was destined to go out. And then, I mean, there's a reason that the rugby ball is bloody oval. And, I learned about that on Saturday because it just snuck in. And then there was that potential counter attack. I thought we were potentially going to close in on the game, only for then Ambrose Papier to capitalize on a knock on. I don't think our outside backs, to be fair, had the best match, but for the most part, you have to give a lot of credit to the Bulls, because they're looking like a very strong outfit, and they, as much as the Lions kind of are not wanting to apparently win the URC, I think the Bulls have a really strong chance of doing it.
Well, I think they're the clear favourites alongside Leinster.
Yeah, Leinster's still sitting in one. Will have the home final. It's just whether they turn up in the semi-final, which will be the question. I think all Bulls fans will be hoping that they're up against Munster again, so then they can get that home final. I mean, home URC final at Loftus will be pretty electric.
Yeah. No, look, I think that's also it's a big shot. I think even just in general, the fans are back in stadiums. Even at Ellis, we've seen bigger crowds. It always looks very empty at Ellis Park because it's just such a behemoth of a stadium. The fans that do go are always on the west side, and they absolutely pack the west side before they even think about the east bank, because Lions tend to obviously, for some reason, always get the afternoon games, and you don't want to sit in the east bank in the sun. You could have 10, 15,000 people on the west bank itself. It's always difficult to gauge exactly how many people are there, but the attendance is up. So it's just really good to see that the South African fans, after the bit of the rugby hangover and stuff in the last few years, they're back in the stadiums. We're now. I mean, if we had, for the fact that Loftus sold out and you think about it, I think the official number for the day was 50,000 and something. So 50,000 fans, you think about those overseas stadiums, that hold 10, 15,000 seaters, and all of our unions would sell that out every single week with ease, even for the smaller games, let alone the derbies. And that's where we want to be. You want to be in a situation where we know every weekend there's going to be fans in the stadium, and it'll be interesting now when we move away from the SA derbies and we start bringing in other teams. What sort of the crowds will do, but hopefully the sort of period of SA derbies, getting full stadiums and people enjoying that atmosphere, hopefully that kind of ignites just a better attendance moving forward.
Yeah, I think they'll for like the Zebras, you're not going to see 50,000. But maybe for those games, you're at least seeing 25,000. That's still a hell of a lot of people.
Even 10, 15,000, is a decent number of people in there.
No, it's decent turnout. I think, as you say, like, people are galvanized, and the build-up to a South African derby is always special. It feels like it's become special again. I felt like I got drained out during that COVID period, during the 20, Currie Cups within a year long. Or within 12 months, just because we were just playing each other the whole time. It was just like, I've watched this match so many times, but now there's a lot of skin in the game, and even just history of the URC between two teams like the Bulls and Stormers. There's a final won and lost between those two, and one that's won the whole thing and one that hasn't. So it's just there's good competition, and it makes for a good product that the people are enjoying.
Now, speaking of the competition and those who have been absolutely dreadful in this competition, the big question we need to answer today, Dan, is John Plumtree at risk of losing his job?
I think he has to be. Like, I was shocked when I saw that the Sharks released the statement. I was just looking for, like, where on. I was just skimming it to see where it was that they announced that Plumtree had been sacked. They just said they were, quote unquote, in the mud, which is a bit of an understatement. But, like, when you're bringing the likes, like the players that they have, when you look at their team, like the sheer amount of Springboks and international caps is a joke. They are, on paper, like the best team in South Africa, you'd say. But the reality is just so far from that. Just can't get it to click. I don't know if it's a motivation thing, whether their Springboks aren't that interested in playing for the Sharks. They're kind of, largely a money move essentially, but you can still play in South Africa. I don't know if it's, do you even think we can call the Springboks motivation into question if they're playing for the Sharks?
Yeah, it's such an interesting one. And it's interesting to see how many Sharks fans are suddenly so against the idea of having Springboks in their squad. They're saying they don't want these Boks who just come there and don't really care and stuff like that, and they're never really available and stuff. And I hear that, but I just look at some of the other players who aren't even current Springboks at the moment, and how many of those players are, as you said, internationally capped. I mean, you got your Instuko Kunus and Kuni Oostes, who are your reserve prop, both capped for the Springboks. You've got your Cohen Bosch. Yes, not massive, exactly, illustrious international career, but he's played at that level. Francois Fentes has played at that level. Apple Lefasti has been in and out of box squads recently. You've got a Piwe Dianti, will breakthrough player of the year. Yes, we know it's going to take him a while to get back to his best, but there's so many players. Vincent Tuka was the Lions' best player and one of the URC best players over the past few years. So even aside from just your current World Cup winners, there's it's a better side than the Lions. It's a better side than the Lions. So to get hammered 40 points to 10, the Lions have done the double over them. Sinea Nahamba has done the double over the Sharks this season. That was somebody that they decided was
phenomenal redemption arc.
It's such he kicked the winning points in Durban, scored a try in Joburg. And he was someone that decided wasn't needed at the union. And look what he's managed to do. Marius Lowe, for example, they're going to sign Andre Estes, and I think it's the third or fourth centre they're going to sign to replace him. Whilst Marius Lowe's gone on to have one of the best seasons of his career at the Lions. So it's and Pilo Gamedi back in the alignment camp. We've spoken about this before. The player management of that union has been so bad. So it's an interesting one because I think that's probably what's almost protecting John Plumtree is the fact that you can look at the season and say, well, the results aren't there, but you can sit there and think, but this seems to be a systematic issue, where it's not just, even before Plumtree, the results weren't there. They didn't qualify for a Champions Cup last season. So it's been this downward trajectory. And, is it Neil Powell that's the issue? Is it just the general union? They've got all these massive plans and everybody talks about how they've got these great plans and the owners got, they say all the right things and they've got these programs and they've now formalized their, that the Eastern Cape is their official based academy. And they've got this working agreement with the Pumas now. And they've got all these various structures in place and it's just producing nothing on the field.
Yeah, just kind of waiting for this ship to turn around. I feel like they haven't been really anywhere near the heights that they were at the end of like Super Rugby in probably 2019.
Even that COVID year, the year before, they were absolutely flying in that Super Rugby.
Yeah, no, they were like an incredibly strong franchise, winning Currie Cups, like always kind of top one or two. Within South Africa, never been an easy team to beat. Always has produced Springboks as well, not just necessarily bought in Springboks. Yeah, it's an interesting. We haven't really seen this type of model play out within the South African rugby space, where there is so much more money from within than the rest of the franchises. It's not bearing fruit yet. If it does, I think people will also be pissed off, to be fair, if all of a sudden they just start bullying everyone. But if anything, it's you have to just, I think, bring into question the coaching. That is, there are only so many things that can't be going right. And if they're still persisting with Springboks, they're clearly not going to change that approach. So it needs to be, then you kind of end up looking at the coaching staff. So I think if I was a Sharks fan, I would kind of call for the sack, Plumtree, but it's not my decision to make.
Yeah, look, a lot of Sharks fans do have. I put up my review yesterday from the URC, and I think 90% of the comments were all saying that Plumtree needs to go. So, interesting times for him. I think if it comes down to the Challenge Cup, I think if they can pull together a reasonable Challenge Cup campaign, then I think he can survive. But the issue is, it's all very well saying, he needs the sack, but then you got to go and say, right, well, who replaces him?
Yeah.
And that's
they have money. They spend money. You can probably get even an international coach in there.
Yeah, well, there we go. Maybe you can go and find a big name coach instead of just it's not like he's not a small name coach, but anyway, we've got Six Nations back this weekend. You were complaining last week they were back to a break, but we're now into the Six Nations, the final 2 weeks. So this is the penultimate weekend, and some very interesting games. Italy off a draw against France, up against Scotland, who are praying that England can do them a favor and give them a chance of going to the Aviva Stadium next weekend and playing for the Six Nations title. England versus Ireland. England have been completely written off. Very interesting. There's now leaks in the media. Felix Jones apparently not particularly popular. Nobody liking the defensive issues there. So we'll talk a little bit about him. And
I realized Felix was grouped in on those comments. I thought it was just old Stevie Borthwick.
Well, so there's no official sort of comments about Felix Jones, but just a lot of them complaining about the defensive system and the way that they're currently playing and the work they're doing on the defense. And so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to then say, well, look who the defense coach is.
Yes.
So look, we're all saying, South Africans, listen, Felix, we're here. We've got you. If they don't like you, we'll give you citizenship. We'll adopt you as one of our own. You can vote. We'll give you a nice house in Camps Bay or something. We'll sort you out.
I mean, to be fair, we've probably done all of those things already. It's just come back stronger, go
exactly.
to the other side.
We'll have the brand new nice.
Yeah, it's a big ship to turn around. I think there's been some debate about what England needs to do to actually get a result out of Ireland, and is it knuckle down, play that defensive game, lots of picking, like almost a purely like South Africa, like the game that they played against South Africa in the World Cup semi-final, and then just try kind of make it ugly, or are Ireland actually far too good for that? And the only way you can beat Ireland, and the only way they have been beaten, is by trying to get the ball out wide and just trying as much as possible to slow down that ruck speed, but beating them on the fringes.
You've got to. I think the ruck speed is so important. You've got to compete at the breakdown. You've got to make sure they don't have that clean ball, because they will wear you down so quickly if they've got that ruck speed.
If Jamie Gibson Park can get the ball in under 2 seconds every single time, you're not going to win a rugby game against Ireland. He's got too many options in the bag, in and around him, and just himself to select from. That your defensive line, particularly a new one, and a new defensive system, and that England are trying to adopt under Felix Jones, it's not going to fly, and they'll just be picked off. I mean, Ireland are scoring 30 points against any opposition for fun, so this means that England need to score 30 as well, and I don't know if they're going to be kicking those 30 points.
Yeah, no, I think it's for England. I don't think there's much to lose. I'd be very interested to see what kind of team they go with. For example, are they going to go with a powerful team? Are they going to go for a fitter, quicker team, sort of mobile to try and sort of just cope with the relentless Ireland attack? Do they try and starve Ireland of possession? Do they understand? Do they just sort of identify the fact that they might not be able to? So I think tactically, it's going to be very interesting to see what Steve Borthwick and the coaches can produce. Look, the fact of the matter is that at the moment, Ireland are being called the best team in the world, best team ever, for example, maybe the best Six Nations team ever. England have been completely written off. So there's a certain amount of comparisons to the World Cup, semi-final build-up before England went and put in a big performance. So, the stage is set for that potential upset. It's just whether the England players can get up and have the best game that they've had in a while, and hope that Ireland are kind of just off their game, which they just don't seem to be. But Ireland looked completely untouchable during the World Cup until they're knocked out in the quarterfinals. So
last time when England had their backs against the wall, think about even just that Argentina game, red card within the first 2 minutes. That's kind of when they came out swinging, and that's when they started turning a campaign around. So I don't think predicting England to win is a bit of a wild shout. But they feel like they do have the ability to bring one out, because the reality is they have the players, right? Like people, and it's starting to piss me off. Everyone's saying it's such a new team. It's not that new. They haven't had that many people leave. Like Courtney Laws has left, and Owen Farrell has left. Other than that, you have everyone else at your disposal. They are choosing. It's not like everyone's gone and retired. And Will Young, but Will Young was barely making the starting 23 anyways.
The Vinopolas as well.
The Vinopolas, but again, they were already kind of by choice, like not selecting them. So you rarely have your own team. Borthwick has chosen to go with this approach, and he's trying to an extent, I think he's trying to hide behind the fact that, like, he's picked a young team, but that's the team that you have picked. That's what you are committing by. So I don't.
Well, look at the Italian team. They're not much older.
Exactly.
The Italian team that drew and should have beaten France.
Should have. But I think Steve will go to be honest, I think he'll go defensive, because I think he won't risk a big blowout loss if he goes attacking, because I think that's going to be his head on the chopping block. I think he needs to get it, another win against like a big opposition soon. Otherwise, England fans aren't sticking around for them just to beat Wales and Italy, and maybe France. I mean, that's going to be a big final week. But I mean, we've also got some Scotland versus Italy. Can we see the Italians rising to the occasion again? Are Scotland too big? I mean,
I
in
don't think so.
theory, a team that
Yeah.
almost beat France, and France, also controversially beat Scotland. So in theory, it should be a very close one.
In theory, look, I did kind of write off Italy, which I don't often do against France, and I mean, what a performance they put in. It's difficult once again. I think this will be an interesting barometer to sort of note where Italy is in comparison to Scotland, who are trying to fight for the Six Nations. I think should have beaten France and beat England quite comfortably. Somebody the other day down the group said that they didn't think Scotland were particularly good against England. I thought Scotland were very comfortable in that second half. They didn't get out of second gear, didn't need to. So look, I think Italy can compete. We're at home as well, which will help. But I think Scotland again, if they, and that's what I keep saying, if they want to be considered a top side, these are the games they need to go in and win comfortably.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it has to be a massive scoreline, but it means you need to go in and you need to control things. You need to basically just never be under pressure.
Yeah.
As soon as they sort of threaten to come back, you need to be able to win that penalty, win a scrum, for example, find a good kick, and just be able to control the game. So I think for me, I think that Scotland should get over the line. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with this Wales versus France game.
I think that one's also going to be massive. There's nothing that says Wales can't do it, and this is actually a very young Welsh side.
Yes.
Very few caps versus supposedly the team that should have won, the World Cup last year, who've now absolutely fallen off a cliff, missing, that, classic 9-10 combo of Ntamak and DuPont so much, and there seems to be a bit of unrest at the camp. I mean, they've just got their tails between their legs.
Oh, there was talks about Galtier being up for the sack.
Literally.
I mean, imagine that a year ago.
Yeah. Literally could not. Like, Springboks have gone in and absolutely destroyed that rugby federation. But what's nice is we're speaking about all of these games. Probably the least competitive game might even be England-Ireland, which you'd typically associate with the most competitive game. So, I mean, we'll see if Wales steps up. They've shown signs. They're yet to win. It's probably going to be the classic wooden spoon game with them in Italy next week. But they've been so many almost shocks this Six Nations. There just needs to be one big one, right? That just wasn't yet to come. It was going to be that Scotland one. It was going to be
Italy. Been waiting for that one upset, that one big upset, proper upset.
Yes. And to be fair, we're speaking about all of these games like there's a scenario that both teams could win. So, maybe that's this week. I mean, I would absolutely love for England to beat Ireland to set up a showdown at the Aviva next week for Scotland versus Ireland. I think that'll just be such a good final way to go out. And, it would mean that then Ireland don't win their back-to-back Grand Slams, but to go down to the final day is always epic.
Yeah, I think that's what we all want as fans. I mean, the Six Nations is always such a great competition, and I think it's been a really good Six Nations campaign. I do think we've been robbed of what could have been one of the best Six Nations in a long time with that Scotland versus France result. But the Italy Scotland, the Italy France results, that's a huge result. The Scotland beating England once again for the fourth time in a row in that Calcutta Cup, for example. Ireland blowing away France, starting this sort of downfall. There's been a lot of narratives to this. The Six Nations, a Welsh side which has literally had to press the reset button, Warren Gatland doing what Warren Gatland does, and that is make a team competitive despite what he has, despite the experience he has. He can just set up a team to be difficult to beat all the time. So there's been a lot of little subplots, but I'm just waiting for that. I'm hoping this weekend, I mean, we go and see Scotland masterclass against Italy. We go and see Wales upsetting France, and we see England finding a victory against Ireland. It completely blows up the entire sort of Six Nations last weekend, where suddenly the wooden spoon might not be that straightforward. For example, Italy, for example, they're currently sitting on 3 points. So if Wales get a win, for example, then Italy, will be playing against Wales to potentially, if France then go down, all of a sudden France could be playing next week with an opportunity for them to potentially be the wooden spoon. I mean, how wild would that be?
Cheapers.
With England playing against France in that last weekend. So it's though if we can get those results, I want a Scotland win, I want a Wales win, and I want an England win.
Yeah.
But that Wales win means that France must not get any points. Whilst I'd like to see Italy get like at least 1 or 2 bonus points, because if Italy go into that final weekend 1 or 2 points behind France against England, it's just we don't want to be in a weekend where the only thing to play for is that Ireland-Scotland game. And unfortunately, if we get an Ireland big win this weekend, they win the Six Nations.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But I think if you England, remember how Russie mentioned All Blacks away. If you win that game, you buy yourself a lot of time going forward, because that's the hardest game to win, right? I think that's exactly what Borthwick needs to and should be doing with this.
Well, you go and beat one of the best sides of all time, and suddenly people say, "Cool, we'll back you."
Yeah, and it largely, when we beat the All Blacks away, it was a flash in the pan. Like, we weren't winning consistently around there. We were losing to Australia frequently. I think we even lost to Argentina in and around then. It wasn't a completely convincing time, but we saw the signs in the big games and what we were capable of. We saw, what our ceiling could be, and that's what Borthwick needs to do. He needs to give the England fan base a sign of what this team's ceiling could be. And there's no better stage to do it than versus the best team in the world at the moment. So very, very exciting. But Stevie, let's get on to a little bit of football. We had some first of all, we had some Champions League last night. Bayern coming back from a goal down versus Lazio in the second leg, going on to win 3-0, and who are now through to the quarters, as well as PSG winning 2-1 versus Real Sociedad, aggregate 4-1. Kylian Mbappe, 2 goals, doing what he does best. We'll see if PSG can actually make a run in the Champions League. Will be a pretty insane way for Kylian Mbappe to bow out. But let's get on to the Premier League. Manchester Derby, I thought your boys could hold on at half-time. I was praying.
Johnny Evans playing centre back. We've got makeshift strikers, makeshift left backs. We've got an 18-year-old guy anchoring our midfield. Yeah. Where did you guys think we were ever going to compete? Just because Marcus Rashford pulls out a Marcus Rashford wonder goal.
Yeah, I needed one more from him. I mean, it's become so expected, these comebacks from City. Like, as a Liverpool fan,
we scored far too early.
You scored too early. Yeah, you needed that needed. If that came in the second half, maybe you could have played, because actually when City go behind early, they tend to be fine. It's when it's goalless for a long time, or if they go behind late. Is when they're really at risk. But unfortunately, your boys could not pull through. So City, Liverpool, and Arsenal are all 1 point or within 2 points of each other. Arsenal scoring goals galore, Stevie. Another 6-0 win, but granted, versus Sheffield, who are really horrible. And are looking like they can do nothing but go down to the Championship next season.
Correct.
Do you think that they've had the most insane February and now continued March in such fashion? They have Brentford this weekend. Probably again they will win. Do you think there's any part that this could not benefit them from the perspective of that they aren't having to win grudge matches? I mean, you're never going to complain about, blowout wins. Like, you cannot. However, you're seeing Liverpool and City have to win the hard way. And if they are in trouble with 3 games to go, they've been there before, whereas Arsenal haven't had to. Could that be something that derails them when they do have the games versus, for example, Chelsea coming up, which will be quite a grudge match?
Well, I think that's what's going to make them champions or not at the end of the day. You know, you've got to be able to show that you can win those really, really tough matches. Those you know, when the chips are down, who rises up? And I think that they've breezed through. They've been completely dominant. Nobody's arguing that. You know, they still remain 2 points behind Liverpool. But obviously, this weekend's a massive weekend. City win, for example, they go ahead of Liverpool and make the title race even closer, whilst Arsenal can kind of continue doing their thing. Arsenal have got an interesting time coming up because they've got a big Champions League tie next week at Tuesday. It's home against Porto. They're 1-0 down, for example.
They're getting stretched now for the first time in a couple of years, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't know what that result does for them. You know, if they go through, I think that gives them obviously a lot of confidence, but you have to start playing more games. Crashing out of the Champions League, you know, I think the fans will put a positive spin on it and say, well, that means we can focus on winning the Premier League. But I think that would be a big moment for them to have all these 6-0, these incredibly dominant performances. If they, for example, get knocked out of the Champions League, then all of a sudden that bottlers tag comes up and you're sitting there going, well, what's the point of doing all these things where as soon as you get to an important game, you know, you've dropped it. So they've got City on the 31st of March. And obviously that is the big game as well.
Yeah,
you know, they now need to do it against the big sides. They've got a horrible run in. You know, they've still got Spurs. They've still got United, which, you know, United, who knows which United pitches up, but they've still got Villa coming up. They've still got City. They've got Chelsea, and they've got Brighton. So whilst I'm not saying that those teams are the best, they're not playing. You know, they're not going into the final stage of the season playing the bottom 5 teams.
Yeah.
You know, they're playing mid-table clubs. I think they've got Wolves as well. They do. I mean, literally, these are their fixtures here. So they've got Chelsea, City, Luton, Brighton, Villa, Wolves, Spurs, Bournemouth, Everton, United.
Yeah, the final 3 run is not too bad, but the next, you know, the next 8 are going to be could be where it's won and lost for them. But I do think they are sitting just in the wings, like almost in the slipstream there in third. You know,
I think that's helping them. The fact that they're not in the top of the league, they're not the target. You know, they're kind of just just do. Because let's be honest, yes, they're scoring all these goals, but nobody's talking about them.
Still, they know people are acknowledging them. But even when they beat Liverpool, which was massive. I mean, first thing you have to do if you want to win the Premier League is take points off your biggest rivals, and they only gave Liverpool 1 point both games of the season, which for Liverpool's sake, I think is a massive, massive loss. But they went through a bit of a rough patch in Jan, and everyone kind of wrote them off. And I was like, okay, well, it's kind of Arsenal have done it again. It's just happened a little bit earlier this season. But I think that, as you said, where they're sitting right now is exactly where they want to be. I did speak of a pretty incredible fair. Granted, they did lose their one massive game in the Champions League. It was away, so they'll be at home in the reverse tie. But yeah, I think personally, I still think they have to go for that Champions League. I think confidence-wise, that'll I think lift them more than this. You know, as much as they will then be stretched for a thin squad. But we do have this Sunday, Manchester City versus Liverpool. And those are obviously the 2 other title contenders. So, Stevie, as they call it, a 6-point game. Is this the title decider, potentially? I mean, it's always such a good game. For years gone by, it's been insane. But I can't remember a game that it was this late in the season when both were contending. Both seen usually it's more in the beginning and middle. What do you see happening in this game, and what are the repercussions of it? What's a good result for both of these teams?
Well, I think if Liverpool win it, obviously they need to lose.
Yeah,
you know, it's because you take a 4-point lead. You take so you can go up to 66 points. So you have 4 points on City.
Yeah,
and you know, Arsenal, you're currently 2 points ahead and you can maintain that. So I think it becomes your league to lose. If City win it, I think it throws the league into it. And it'll be quite a cool one for them to win in terms of like suddenly keeping that league really close.
Why is that a cool one for City to win, bro?
If you're neutral, I don't care. I'm not invested in the title race right now. City. No, I'm not saying that the title. I'm saying the result. This weekend they win. They go to 65 points. They'll be 1 point ahead of Arsenal, 2 points ahead of Liverpool. That means we're going into like the final month and a bit of football in the Premier League with the top 3 separated by 2 points.
Yeah, I do think if City win, they win the league, and I think if Liverpool win, they win the league. Um, I think, uh, I mean, and a draw is great for Arsenal. That's actually probably exactly what they want, right? Because that could actually that could take them first. No, but, that would be town points to Liverpool. Um, yeah, I think my question to you maybe is: would both teams take a draw?
Um, yeah, probably. We all know that City. Look, maybe they do, but City don't generally choke. Pep Guardiola doesn't choke.
Away
He
though, at
doesn't.
Anfield, I don't think Pep's
Yeah,
ever
that's
won
what I'm
it.
saying. So,
I
so,
don't
so,
think
so
Pep's
I
ever
think I
won at
don't think he'd
Anfield.
mind. I don't think he'd mind a draw because I think he would then be quite happy to bring Arsenal to the Etihad and beat Arsenal.
Yeah,
And for example, Spurs are not a factor when it comes to City. Spurs aren't. Once if they get to that sort of final title run, and they've got a very easy run, and I think Spurs their final tricky game, for example, that's in April. Their last 4 games are Forest, Wolves, Fulham, West Ham. So it's not a ridiculous run in, and right, hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for Watchalong number 2 of the day. It is England versus Ireland, and Ireland on the cusp of winning the Six Nations. A win for them will be enough to give them that title. After Scotland have just gone down against Italy. What a game that was! Phenomenal to watch. I'm sad for Scotland because I think that they could have, if England were to pull out a miracle here, and probably chance not to go do it anyway, this really pisses off, then it would have meant that England versus Ireland game would have been huge next week. But cannot be upset about that result because I've been backing this Italian side for years and I've been saying that they're a good side and that people need to back them and understand that they're going to grow into a really good side. And so to get that result, I kind of just felt like it was a long time coming, and that's a justification of my chat. Ireland's call currently echoing around Twickenham, which is where we are at the moment. So a big game coming up for us. Big moment, I think, for England to try and make a statement. They've been firing shots at England all week, have the Irish, talking about how England aren't particularly good, how Ireland continue to be the best team in the world, and England have a chance to go shut them up. I don't think they will, but they got the chance to do it. So before the anthems are going on, let's go through the team, shall we? So England have gone with Ennis Gend, Jamie George, and Dan Cole in that front row. Second row of Mario Toje and George Martin. Ollie Chessman switching to the flank. Your partner Sam Underhill and Ben Earl, who continue to start for Steve Borthwick. Alex Mitchell comes in for Danny Kaye. He'll come off the bench a bit later to make his 100th appearance for England. And George Ford will continue at number 10. Tommy Freeman switches wings to allow Emmanuel Feowaboso his first start in England shirt. George Burbank continuing at fullback. In the centres, it will be Ollie Lawrence next to Henry Slade. And that's a bit of Poland and Owen Farrell in the crowd, by the way. Off the bench, it will be Theo Dan, Joe Marler, and Will Stewart in the front row. Chandler Cunningham South, Alex Dombrandt, Danny Kerr, Marcus Smith, who makes return from injury, and Elliot Daly. For Ireland, it's always pretty easy to guess their team because they don't make much changes. And it is Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, and Tyke Furlong in that front row. Then Joe McCarthy, Ty Byrne, Peter O'Mahony, Josh Beneflea, and Caelan Doris completing that scrum. Jack Crowley continues the number 10 jersey. He'll have Damson Gibson Park as his scrum off to work with. James Lowe, Calvin Nash, Hugo Keenan in the back row. Good to see Hugo Keenan back. And in the centres, Bundy Aki and Robbie Henshaw will go toe-to-toe with the likes of Lawrence and Henry Slade. Off the bench, it will be Ronan Kelleher, Ken Healy, Finley Beelan returns to the 23. Ian Henderson also back. Ryan Baird, Jack Conan in the 6-2 split with Conor Murray and Kieran Frawley. So a very interesting... to see how that 6-2 split gets deployed. A bit of a bomb squad type of situation. Right, we've got a few minutes to go. Please go and get your score predictions into the comments. Go and vote on the poll who you think is going to win. Ireland kind of with 66%. So I'm surprised they don't actually have more, to be honest. But we'll wait and see. Right, looks like England will be receiving kickoff. Our referee for the afternoon is Nika Amashikili. From Georgia. He's assisted by Andrew Piardi and Craig Evans. Ben Whitehouse, the TMO. Maurice Yonker in the bunker over there. So kind of like a combination of people in and around that officiating. But yeah, England will be receiving kickoff. They'll be playing left to right in this first half here. Jack Crowley with ball in hand at the moment, getting ready to get us off. So we've got the second game of the weekend, and then finally we will have France versus Wales. I think should also be quite a good game tomorrow evening. So let's get ready for hopefully some really good Six Nations action. I thought that that earlier game was fantastic. So if we can have anything like that, then I think we should be in for quite a fun game over here. It's about England really, and whether they want to try and pitch up and prove that they are a decent side. We have had the whistle, and Jack Crowley is getting underway, and he will go down that right-hand side, and it's targeted towards, I think it's Alex Mitchell, who have a bit of time to find his first clearance of the day. Will find touch, and that's good to find as well up towards the halfway line, and Ireland will start proceedings with a line out just inside England territory. If you're a Formula One fan, by the way, we obviously also got that watch along going over on Fairman Motorsports. So if you'd like to should pop in that during half time and stuff like that, please do go. So how's it to Reese? We also, if you're a MotoGP fan, we'll be covering that race tomorrow live on that channel as well. Good early lineup though. Joe McCarthy goes up and comes with the ball. Josh van der Fleer bringing in Caelan Doris, who will carry strong here. Gibson Parker moaning about the slow ball there, and he's going to go to the butcher. Is Gibson Parker? No, Josh van der Fleer's going to pick up and go. Ty Furlong making some meters here. Good early start here. This from Ireland. Gibson Park. Quick ball to Dan Sheehan. Now Porter popping up to Josh van der Fleer. Gibson Park to Crowley. Crowley bringing in Robbie Henshaw. Pick up and go from Caelan Doris. He's a bit isolated though. Penalty advantage for Ireland. Jabs to Gibson Park looking to snipe and trying to throw that ball in behind him to Robbie Henshaw, but running into Amashikili there, the referee. So it is a penalty. Early penalty, and interesting to see. I mean, at the moment, they just need a win, don't they? So very surprised they don't take the 3 points. And you can just see no pillar there. So Josh van der Fleer just running straight through that gap. George Martin does react, but he'd already made a few meters, had Josh van der Fleer before giving it away to Ty Furlong, who stepped inside of Ben Earl before being brought down by Martin there. And Jack Crowley has called for his keen tee. Craig Casey running the water, as he's been doing most of the Six Nations when he hasn't been playing. All right, Crowley's first shot of the day is straight down the middle, and Ireland will go ahead within 3 minutes. They take a 3-0 lead. Good start from the away side, who just need a win to seal that Six Nations title, and then go to Scotland next week to try and make it a Grand Slam. Bandiaki off the kickoff there. Pretty good chase there. And Chester, who's playing the number 6 jersey today, trying to rip that ball. Gives the park now goes to Tiger Byrne. And back towards James Lowe. It's a big carry from Foreman, and Nash has gone down. I think that could be a shoulder. Now down the left-hand side, you go England. George Ford, good hands, one more time. Ollie Lawrence into the corner. Well, that's what England needed. That's what England got. Don't start celebrating too early, Ireland, because England are here to play. Ollie Lawrence down on the wing. What a try that is from him. Brilliant response to that from England. Dua Lipa echoing around the stadium. 23rd cap for Ollie Lawrence's 5th try in an England jersey. But look at this counter attack. Down the left-hand side there. Bang! Big hit there on Calvin Nash from Furman. And that's what creates the overlap here. And then just run the hands here. 1, 2, and then 3. And scrambling there was Crowley, but couldn't quite make the tackle. Good work there from forward. Good hands, though. Good handoff as well from Ollie Lawrence to hand off Jack Crowley. Borthwick does celebrate. A bit of a fist pump onto the table. Right, George Ford's first effort of the afternoon, right on the left-hand side, other touchline. And that's going to come in quite nicely. I think, no, it actually ended up going the other way. So it phased towards the right-hand side. So it'll remain a 2-point game, 5 points to 3. Penal has lost contact. I think it's backwards. No, it is forward. Penal ball here for Ireland. There, Dan Sheehan to James Lowe. McCarthy. Here in 40, by the way, on for Calvin Nash. Joe McCarthy steps back on the inside. And it's poor passing, and they've knocked the ball on there, so England will have the scrum. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Packed up Twickenham, the game of the season, really, for the home crowd. Look at the starting packs, by the way. 15 kgs heavier England than Ireland, which is quite interesting. Most of that weight, I think, coming actually at the back row there. All right, a bit of a reset here. And penalty for England, much to the joy of the fans. You can hear that Peter Marnie chatting to the sideline. I don't think he was too happy there. This is good work there from England early on. Right, Jamie George and England have actually retreated so they can come straight into the line and get things going. Yeah, they do come. You go to the back of the line to Mario Toja. It's a good line out there. Mitchell goes to forward. Forward goes short to Ellis Genge in the centres. Powerful run there from the loose head. Mitchell. Oh, his numbers here. Numbers here goes himself there. And it's a great penalty win there. I think it's Bandiaki and Josh van der Fleer. Bandiaki, what a player he is. Josh van der Fleer as well. I think Bandiaki could very well easily have been named player of the year last year. He was so good in that World Cup. Josh van der Fleer, in fact, who's won that penalty. Former World Player of the Year. So I think it's an important turnover, actually, as we just go past 10-minute marks. I think England actually had a bit of momentum. I think England scored there. Interested to see if Ireland start to panic. I don't think they will, but they haven't really been pushed so far at the Six Nations at all, really. Yeah, let's see how things go. That's a horrible line. So straight through their hands. So turnover ball here for England. Ireland so far not really pitching up. Now looking to put the contact. Holds into the ball. Ferrier. Bosie comes inside. Looking for the offload as well. Not too many options there for the wing. Mitchell, quick ball. Ball goes flat to Ellis Genge. Looking much better here, England. Forward now to Slades. March Chesham goes to Freeman. Back down the right hand side. Forward to Genge. George Ford looking really, really smooth here at the moment. Now Ben Earl. Look at the pace of play this from England, though. Alex Mitchell now going on the left-hand side, popping it short to Furman. And that, I'll tell you what's Bedad behind by England, and Gibson Park fumbled it, and they bounded it out for a line-out. So this will be an England line-out. Really good work is from England, and it's another Irish player who's down. Doesn't look particularly happy now. He's back up as Hugo Keane. I think winded. They lose him. There's a 6-2 split, so Conor Murray will have to come on, and I imagine we'd see maybe Gibson Park play on the wing. Look at that step inside from Ferrier Bosie. He's got such a good pace. And just delaying that pass as well there did Henry Slade. Good work from him. Jamie George to go to the back of the line. It's fumbled, but it will fall back towards England. So they do retain possession, the men in white. Now Genge steps away from white. So he Toja for company as well as his captain, Jamie George. Chesham. Big carry for him, playing on the flank today. Almost through the middle goes Mitchell, and he's lost the ball forward. Forward there to clean up. Goes to Keenan. He's got a reasonable angle to try and find a clearance. Does find that clearance. But England very much on the front foot here. The question is, can they make it count? Back on the 10-meter line. This is kind of the England that everybody keeps waiting to see. So it'll be interesting to see how long they can maintain this kind of momentum. And stolen, though, from Ireland. So that's a good moment from them. Crawley going to Maniaki bursting through. Look, that's so much strength. I mean, what are they going to do when they get Gary Ringrose back? Now back to Crowley. Keeping it nice and low on that right-hand side. There's nobody back, so that could be 50-22, but it does hold up. And Furbank returns the favour down the throat of Jack Crowley. He goes up for Frawley to chase. Now forward. Goes down the middle there, and James Lowe comes onto it. Right, now Alex Mitchell. Picks and chases himself. And Crowley comes in and done, and it's a good take from him. Now down the left-hand side, Dan Sheehan show and goes himself. Now George Ford, a little bit of pressure from Caleb Doris, goes to Ferry Boso. He gets away from Caleb Doris, breaks one tackle, breaks another tackle actually. Good carry there from the wing. Sorry, day in the number 14 jersey. Ben Earl breaking the tackle, giving it away to Jamie George. Jamie George drops the hammer. Goes past the 10-meter line. Good work there from the England captain. Forward, slick hands. Well held on as well from Furbank. Quick ball there from Mitchell. Goes to Chesham. Gets away from one. The Ireland first time tackle. He hasn't been fantastic so far. Now forward. Fires it straight to Genge. Genge does well to hold on to it. Advantage here for England as well. Forward. Lines up the drop goal. That's pretty dreadful. And they'll take the penalty. And I'm pretty sure they'll take the points. I'll take the points here. As you'd imagine. Try and make it 8 points to 3, but it's been a really good start here from England. I haven't seen Ireland under this much pressure in a long time. Right, so George Ford, 9 seconds left on the shot clock. It's pretty much bang in front, so pretty straightforward really for him. And he does curl it inside just. It was a little bit hard and mild at the moment, but it's a good kick in the end. And England will add to their lead there. Ireland's not really in the game so far in the first 16 minutes, which is quite interesting. And we talked about whether there could be an opportunity for an upset here. I'll tell you what, if England keep playing like this, that upset could definitely be on. Right, Alex Mitchell now the back of the rucker will look to clear. And it's a very good clearance right up against the halfway line. Actually kept in by Kieran Ford. He goes inside to Crowley. He's under a bit of pressure here. Good tackle that from George Martin. He gets up well. Penalty advantage though, having said that. And they're going to go back for the penalty. We're going to go for a touch here. Will Ireland look to try and respond, search for their first try of the match as we just go past the 18-minute mark. And it's saying, I'll laugh myself into a nap if Ireland lose to England today. So you can clearly see Felix Jones making an impact on the England defence. Yeah, they just need to stick with it, you know. You can't... you can't expect it to be an overnight success. Good line. That gives the pop into Grundy Aki. It's a big hit though coming from Sam Underhill. Good to see it back and playing some rugby, by the way. Helen Doris. And a penalty for Ireland. Interesting decision now. I think I'll take the points here, to be honest. I'm going to take the points here. Ireland should be quite straightforward, Jeff, with Jack Crowley. But not have quite a few points so far this season. It's been nice to be the goal kicker for the side that's dominating and scoring tries for fun. And makes no mistake with that. The flags come up and 8 points to 6 as we hit the 20-minute mark. Officially halfway through the first half. And he felt a bit of a stern look on his face. Not too worried. Still plenty of time to go. Good evening, Mary. I hope you're well. Welcome. Right, down the right-hand side, Bundyaki once again. Bundyaki right against the touchline is out. So it's a good kick-off that from England. Big celebrations. And he's quite sore, actually, as Ollie chased him. I think he's actually hurt his wrist there in all that. Hello, Victoria Secret. Hope you're well. Welcome. Right, so we have a bit of break and play, yeah, I think. Ollie chased him. Yeah, there you can just see his... there it is. The knee of Bundy actually landing on the wrist of Chesham. He looks in a lot of pain. Hopefully will be he continues. He's done quite well here so far, Ollie Chesham, the number 6 jersey. Right, after extended break there, we are now finally getting a play underway. Damien George will have will feed a line just outside the 22. Steve, do you think England defense is the same as the Box? I don't think it's exactly the same. I mean, they've gone with the same sort of initial principles in terms of a rush defense and stuff, but you kind of have to also tailor-made the defense around the players available and also the attacking system. So it's not quite that simple to just implement the Bok defense, because the Bok defense is intrinsically linked to the Bok game plan, the Bok players, the way they attack, for example. George Ford checks and he is charged down for a drop goal attempt. It's the second time he's tried that as George Ford. Other one, he had a penalty advantage, but unsuccessful that time. So carry there from Sam Underhill. Good angle that being run by Freeman. Look, also, what I will say, penalty, by the way, there for England. What I will say about the Bok defense, for example, and idea of copying the Bok defense, is that almost every team in the world is moving towards this whole rush defense. That's kind of the trend at the moment, the kind of the international standard, the gold standard, if you will. So I think we will see more and more teams implement it, and to what success and what degree they all look similar. I think, again, they have to kind of work with the way Steve Borthwick wants to play. So I think it'll take a while for them to get it right. But there'll obviously once we get to the end of Six Nations, and I think probably after maybe the mid-year series and towards the end of the year, we'll be able to sort of map the different defense systems. You'll be able to see similarities. There'll no doubt be similarities. I mean, why wouldn't there be? But it'll never be a sort of carbon copy. Right, Jamie George. I'll tell you what, it was a wild jeepers. That's a great tackle from Dan Sheehan. Because he came flying in there, did Ben. Oh, it was almost a great line move, but Dan Sheehan away to the threat. But they're just off the try line here. England really fighting hard to find that second try. And Ty Burns says, no, thank you very much. Comes in, grabs the ball. Ball was out, apparently. That's a brilliant turnover from, for me, one of the best players in the world in Ty Burns. Probably the best forward, utility forward in world rugby. Now running onto a pace, though, is Freeman. Throws it out to, Furbank. Throws it out to Ferry with Borstel. And Ty Furlong got sent there at the breakdown. Now forward. Furman. Right on the right-hand side. Forward pops it up to Martin, who's lost a scrum cap. Now forward, popping up to Chesham, who seems to be okay after that instant to his wrists. Now options there. Dab with head there does the Ollie Lawrence. That's a big chase in at the moment. Who's going to come away with it? Ollie Lawrence has got it. Is it going to stand? Is it going to stand? I think it could have been... Yeah, I think it's been awarded. Has it been awarded? Nobody's really celebrating here. I'm a bit confused as to what's going on here. The scoreboard hasn't... I think they've scored this. We'll have to have a look here, I reckon. I think that's the big thing. So it gets dabbed ahead. And it's a really, really good competition. And then the question is, who does it come off last? So I think we're going to have a check here. See, the ball bubbles up here. And it seems to be Freeman versus Crawley. Oh, I tell you what, we're going to have a TMO check to see where the last touch comes. Whether it's off an England player or whether it's off an Irish player. So Ollie Lawrence might have a brace here. My opinion is I think that Freeman had... Was it... I think this has come off. I think this might be forward, you know. So I think it's been knocked out of the hands of Furbank by Kieran Frawley, then into the hands of Ollie Lawrence. Very interesting decision incoming here. I think this is going to... I think it's going to be ruled out. Abila Masuku saying, I'm sorry, but I don't think this island side can compete with the Box, just an overrated team in history. Well, we're going to come to South Africa and we're going to play them in 2 tests, so let's wait and see, shall we? If we beat them, then we can start that chat. If we get beaten, well, then I suppose we have to take a step back. I don't think this just try is going to be awarded, though. Yeah, no try, knock on, it'll be a scrum for Ireland. Yeah, you can see that Furbank's got the ball and then he gets knocked out of his hand by Currie, but then he loses it forward, actually. I don't even think he gets really knocked out of the hands. Just loses it forward. But still, really, really good early pressure here by England. We're almost at the 25-minute mark, so building nicely. Now Bandiaki. powering it up for Ireland, creating that angle for James Gibson Park, although I think he might go to, no, he has asked for a couple blocks, he will go to the boot himself. Right, Jamie George now will feed the line out. Long pass out towards George Ford, who goes to Ben Earl. Somebody was talking about the fact that Ben Earl might be playing in the centres. I mean, the fact that rugby people continue to have those kind of opinions just blows my mind. They're looking to try and hold him up there. I think they've done very well to hold him up. I think they've called the maul there. Yeah, up to the ball. That's really good from Ireland. Just wrapping up Henry Slade. I think it was actually Tommy Freeman. Or was it Slade? I think it was Slade actually got held up there. And it's saying, can't wait for Ireland tour. They need to learn who's the 4-time world champs are and the number 1 team in the world. Yeah, well, hopefully we can get these a bit of a lesson, but we'll have to wait and see. Right, so a scrum here on the halfway line. It'll be an Ireland put in. They've got on the left hand side, on the close side, so they've got the full right of the park really to work with. Gibson Park fires it down the left hand side, and it will be a line for England. Inside the 22. It's a good kicking behind there from Gibson Park. And penalty to England. They'll get a free clearance. Ireland's not quite at the races at the moment. For a side that's made so few mistakes during the season, they've just not looked like that team so far today. But plenty of time to get that right. Right in front of the line there. Alex Mitchell swings it to Ford. Nice and short ball there to Ollie Lawrence. Good take from him. Quick ball there from Mitchell. Firing to Jamie George on the angle. Being brought down by his opposite number. They honours the call. Ball sort of came to the side, but I think they've managed to hold on to it. Penalty offside from the referee. Ball bobbles up and goes to Sam Underhill. Jamie George stayed down. Now he's eventually back up. Seems to be a bit groggy. Chip over the top there from Ford for Lawrence to chase. Lawrence almost taking it. Using it as he's coming down to ground, and they'll go back for the penalty. This isn't time here. I think you might go for points here with England. And it's saying, I wonder if Rusty call up John van Merwe. He will expect playing for the Boks. Can't, unfortunately. He'd have to not play for Scotland for 4 years if we were to ever be able to call him back up. Now, so Jamie George is receiving a little bit of treatment. Keeping an eye on the Formula One as well, on the right-hand side, which we are live for. So if you are a motorsports fan, then go check out that channel, Forever Motorsports. We're currently live covering the Formula One. It'd be great if you guys can go and add your support there as well. A bit of Masuku say he wouldn't make the 23, maybe the squad, but he's not better than Colby, Moody, Orenson, Mapimpi. I think he'd get in there ahead of Mapimpi, actually. Controversial, I know. But I think with the season with the block coach, I think he'd probably get him ahead of them. They are taking the points here. England looking to try and make this a 5-point game instead of a 2-point game. George Ford, who missed the conversion but nailed the penalty. Well, not that he's kicked particularly well. And Ford's pushed that to the right. I said that he wasn't kicking particularly well, and that's another one's gone down the right-hand side. So seems to have left his kicking boost behind George Ford. England could have a 7-point advantage at the moment. So they left 7 points out of the boot of George Ford. So he's not particularly happy as we just go past the half-an-hour mark. All right, Crowley going deep from the restart. Into the hands of George Ford. Puts in the torpedo, lifts it high in the air. Cannonball down there for Crawley, but really well taken by the number 23. On for Calvin Nash. Gibson Park. This Park going to Crowley. Crowley seeing a bit of space on that right-hand side. And gets across there, does George Ford. Ford puts it high in the air there. Freeman after it. Just too far there, and I think Frawley will be at mark. He will mark it. Looks like he's got to fall back, by the way, Frawley. I think that Hugo Keenan's gone to the wing. Right on the halfway line, yeah. Mitchell goes to the boot. Just over 7 minutes left, and the ball bounces up. And for lands back Island way, Danny Sheehan comes away with the ball. Gets manhandled a little bit there by Maury Toje. Annette saying, well, Victoria could say, wasted points advantage. Annette saying, at the moment, Colby's out. Moody should play centre. Duan can also play centre, but love the wing. I'm just looking at all the injuries currently with our block players overseas. Yeah, if we had to have a South African-based team, then obviously, well, Logistical, I think he's back, but he was injured as well at the stage. But you got Nakanya there, who might have something to say about playing in centre. And Bandiaki, what a player. Makes the tackle, up on his feet quickly, gets to the breakdown. He has been in immense form over the last 12 months. He just gets better and better. Apparently one of the hardest working players. Apparently sits then on the PC, watches all his games, analyzes things, looks at where he can improve, where he can try and add to his game. Apparently analyzes the opposition a lot as well. And love to hear that somebody like him is that hardworking, and you can see the results on the pitch. Avila Masuku saying, I think Rassi will unleash the exciting new players in the Rugby Championship in Portugal, and Wales introduces Lowe, Hanekom, Gamedi, Sasha, Van Veek, Hugo Venter, Vessels, Ludwig. Yeah, a couple of nice players there. I'm really hoping we see a Henk Van Veek debut this year. I think that he's really special. So I'd really like to see him get an opportunity. They are take the points here, Ireland, and try and take the lead with it. Jack Crowley hasn't missed one just yet. Riley head down, and that's a good strike. Just has the distance as well. So Ireland will take the lead for the second time. They led early. And 9 points to 8. A real arm wrestle so far over at Twickenham. James Lowe now will be used to that left boot to clear, as he often is. And he finds a decent clearance there. Thinking about doing quickly, but decided not to. I mean, Sheep has just scraped over there. I think half a meter back. I don't think that ball goes over. But all that matters is that it did, and Ireland currently lead with just under 4 minutes to go. However, England are back in Ireland's half, and Jamie George goes to Mario Tojo. That's a good line out. Makes it available. Goes to the left-hand side there. And they've left the ball behind there. But now it's been kicked through. And it's just short. Nice idea. And then just left behind there by Freeman. Watching the player. Sorry, it's Furbank. Tom Furbank. Watching the player, not the ball. I mean, George Furbank. George Furbank, Tommy Freeman. Get there in the end. As we approach half time, I'm quite impressed by England. It's kind of the England that we've kind of been waiting to see. You know, we've been waiting to see the impact from a decent coaching staff, and today they've been much better. They really are going toe to toe with Ireland. This is the most Ireland have been held so far, the Six Nations at half time. So they're having to dig a bit deeper and having to go back to basics a little bit, Ireland, which they haven't really had to do so far in the Six Nations. So it's been a good spectacle so far. Hopefully this continues in the second half and that we don't sort of see a blowout. Will be really interesting from the Six Nations point of view if Ireland were to lose this game, because that would certainly mean that England could win it if Scotland did them a favour. It also means Scotland could win it mathematically, but unlikely. It all depends on whether Ireland as well get a bonus point or not. They don't have a try at the moment, so at the moment the only point they'll get if they were to lose this game without those 4 tries would be a losing bonus point if they're within 7. But they do currently lead to Ireland, so at the moment this would have them winning the Six Nations. And keeping that Grand Slam on track as well. Eastern scrum that to Gibson Park was going to go down the right, then decides to go down the left. And James Lowe, just outside 22, goes to the boot. I tell you what, I think he's made a big mistake there, has George Furbank. And I think had he actually just stood out and taken it, it would have been out in the full. So it was a big kick from James Lowe. I think it was actually a little bit too far. And Furbank's made a bit of a hash of that. Breaking play here. 90 seconds left on the clock. 91 to be exact. front of the line there for Ireland. Can they score a try before half time? England will be desperate not to let that happen. Van Sheer now, but Ireland looking pretty good. Helen Doris offloads to Peter O'Mani. We haven't really seen him carry today. Gibson Park quickly. Ball to Robbie Henshaw. Penalty advantage for Ireland. Crowley goes short to Ty Byrne, loses the forward. It's a big tackle coming from, I think that's Martin, who's then had a bit of a stare down on Ty Byrne. Right, but I think they'll take the points here, Ireland, and just extend the lead a bit. And Crowley puts his head down, and that's really, really good. And at the halfway point, Ireland got 12 points to 8 up. I think lucky, to be perfectly honest. I think England will go into at half time, as both big chats to Andy Farrell going down the tunnel. Quite interesting. You don't often see that. I think England will be the happier of the two teams from a performance point of view. But we're very frustrated at the fact that they don't have the lead. We'll be back after half time. Please don't go away. Please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And we'll see you guys after the break. Right, hello and welcome to Forever Sports, and it is Varsity Cup season, and I'm very lucky to be joined by a former Varsity Cup player, now playing his strike with the Cheetahs, Currie van der Merwe, to chat a little bit about the Varsity Cup and his rugby career, and a big shout out to MPL. As part of our Varsity Cup campaign, we are chatting to some of the former players about their experience with the Varsity Cup and exactly how it is a pipeline to professional rugby. First of all, Currie, thank you so much for giving me your time, and how things and how's training going and everything?
Hi Steve, thanks for having me. It's been tough. We've basically been in a bit of a pre-season since our last game overseas against Oyonnax. Having a pre-season here in Bloem, it's 35 degrees, so it's tough. But we're almost at the end.
Yeah, a very interesting concept to have a pre-season, kind of mid-season. That's sort of start and beginning of the end of the seasons must be quite different. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. But before I want to go into that and what's happening now, I want to throw you right back to the beginning of your career, because it's safe to say you haven't had the most orthodox sort of journey into where you are now. So can we start right at the beginning? I believe went to school in Potchefstroom, and sort of from school to play for Pucker, where did it all begin, and sort of what was the kind of journey to Varsity Cup?
So like I said, bred there in Potchefstroom, and I got a bursary. Malusium Tetwa offered me a bursary to go play there. Basically just started there from under 19 when it was still the Puck. Started playing there under 19 levels. Onto Young Guns, Varsity Cup Young Guns, under 21 with the connection with the Puck and the Leopards, so under 21 Leopards and Currie Cup there, and then from 2016 started at a first glimpse of Varsity Cup, but I got an injury I think in early part of the season, so I just thought I had a bit of a taste with it, and then only got back at end of 2017. Basically just climbed the ladder there at university. And then in 2019, after the Varsity Cup season, I got a call to come join the Griquas. Obviously accepted, had a wonderful stint there till end of 2021. And was very happy to get the call from the Cheetahs, from Alvis and them. So, and so far just been enjoying it here at the Free State.
Yeah, I think very interesting, as you said, going from, I mean, Poch obviously a very good rugby university, but the Leopards sort of playing sort of Super Sport Challenge and sort of Premier Division, so it's not necessarily known as a rugby powerhouse from a professional point of view.
No.
So, what was your experience, getting involved in sort of the young guns and stuff, and knowing that Varsity Cup, which was relatively established by the time you got there, was sort of a genuine avenue to something more.
Yeah, well, the Young Guns was great. I think luckily now they, like you said, they were established. They at that time we only played, the Young Guns weren't fortunate enough to play an entire season. They were played in like divided into parts. I think we played like 3 or 4 games maximum, and then I think the top guy in the pool would play semi-final, final, and stuff. So it was a shorter competition, but it was nice to getting started there. It gave you that just bit of a start to play that type of rugby, and it was nice. Yeah.
And sort of the university environment. I mean, the big thing, obviously, before sort of Varsity Cup happened, people would go to university, they'd play rugby, but maybe not sort of the professional extent it is now. Now we're seeing coaching staff, and teams of people behind. What's this? Give us a bit of an insight. What's the environment like when you start at Poch, for example, and you're within the younger setup and that sort of group? What's the kind of environment like compared to, say, for example, the school environment, which is also very professional these days, but obviously would have been quite different back then?
Yeah, no, it's very professional. I haven't been back at the HPI and everything there since they've changed it. They've actually they've revamped the entire setup there. It's actually even bigger and larger than NW at the moment. So, but you've got everything there. It's some of the top facilities, and you've got world-class coaches there as well. I mean, if you look back on all the coaches they've got Robert Dupree, Jonathan McQueen. They've got great coaches there that take you under your wing. So when you get there, it's what's the word, like you feel over your in over your head. Everything is so massive, and you get there. It's you start with lots of tests, and you as a schoolboy aren't used to that. So it's fitness tests, strength tests here and there, and then preseason it just starts accelerating, and you have to quickly find your feet. And yeah, well, just you get that notice and say yes, you gotta raise the bar here and start. You actually in a professional kind of a setup. So yeah, it's kind of tough, but nice in the same way.
And when you started at university, was professional rugby always the goal, or was this kind of, I've got an opportunity here, I can get myself a degree, get myself a qualification, and whatever kind of happens with rugby on the way happens? Or were you quite determined that when you arrived, no, this was the career you wanted to try and sort of carve out for yourself?
Yeah, no. So and so it started. Every boy has a dream that if you want to play rugby, you want to play rugby, you want to play at the highest level. So it started when obviously with the bursary and stuff. You think, okay, I didn't get a contract after Craven Week to play at a professional union. Like the Bulls, Cheetahs, and whichever, and so then you go university, Varsity Cup. Okay, that's my next step. And then you just think, okay, well, let's get it, try and get a degree. Obviously, you need to you have to bring yourself options, get yourself a lot of options. So yeah, and then it starts by trying to be the best when you get there, try to be the best player at the pick or at your level, and start I don't know, climb the ladder somewhere. So yeah, you do have the dream to go to a professional union, to play Super Rugby, to play URC, and well, then you just need to. Yeah.
And is there like almost a sort of sense, because obviously now, especially that a lot of the universities align themselves with the unions, and you have a lot of, for example, Lions players playing for your Wits and your UJs. Is that sort of sense of, you need to now prove yourself against these players who maybe did get contracts straight out of school, and they're kind of affiliated with the provincial unions already, and it's almost sort of a sense of you now need to prove that you're not only on the same level as them, but you can actually outplay them. Was that quite a big driving factor for you?
Yeah, definitely. So, like you said, playing against UJ and Wits, and obviously Tuks, where a lot of the Tuks players are young, junior level bull contracted players. So when you're playing against those guys, you obviously see, I can try and compete on this level, and it kind of brings the best out of you. And it's about any tough kind of competition will definitely bring the best out of you. So it definitely drives to that, and plays a big part for that. Yeah.
Right, and then was there a moment? I always like to ask people, like, was there a moment, either in a game or in a season, was there a moment where you suddenly felt that you're performing at this level, that actually that you can do this, that you can play at a high level, that you can actually make breakthrough? Was there that sort of defining moment, and sort of how did you sort of go from there to then actually making that next step?
Well, it came a bit later for me. At the Varsity Cup, when I started playing Varsity Cup 2016, then I felt like, obviously with the type of pre-seasons you have, it is tough, and you get to a physical level that you can feel like, wow, I can definitely have an impact, and I can provide an impact. So in the games, when you started playing, then you feel fit, you feel strong, and now you're playing against players that like a Bulls contracted player who's playing Varsity Cup, and you feel, I'm definitely at this level. So it does come a point where you feel like, this is a turning point. This is where I can make a mark, and put your name out there.
Right, so then you get a contract to go to the Greek Quiz, which not a traditional rugby powerhouse in the country, but always sort of known as a side that sort of punches above its weight. What's that kind of environment as well like? I mean, but a lot of people sort of think about these unions as places where players who swim, like yourself, maybe didn't go the traditional route, type thing. And also, and sometimes it's kind of a combination of players looking for that stepping stone, and sometimes players whose careers maybe start off really well, faded off, haven't made it unions, they kind of find themselves. What's that kind of environment like? A lot of players who are probably all feeling that they need to try and prove themselves at the next level.
So there is a mixture of players there, like you said. There is some bit of all the players that got sent there for get a bit of game time, or like not cutting it completely at the bigger unions like the Bulls or whatever. So there are players that get sent there, not to try to revive their careers or whatever, and then you get a lot of Varsity Cup stars joining the Greek Quiz. And now I've just been checking this year as well. They've got a lot of talent there at the moment as well. So the Greekos and Pumas as well, like you said, two unions that punch above their weight. They also trying to become also a bit more of a force to reckon with in the to try and get to the bigger unions, get a better competition and everything. And they're starting to get noticed, I think, for me.
Yeah, look, I think the defining moment is obviously the Greek was Pumas Currie Cup final, which was so cool to see from a rugby perspective. But you mentioned that sort of getting to the bigger unions, and maybe even to a certain degree, people now, want to try and find any way to sort of put themselves, out there. Do you almost sort of feel when you're playing for the Greeks, for example, and you play against a Bulls or a Storm and stuff like that, or even just the entire Currie Cup campaign, do you kind of feel that you're sort of trying to put yourself in that shopping window, trying to sit there saying, listen, I'm here, if you're looking for your URC squads and stuff like that, I'm ready for that level?
Well, there have been a couple of games we're playing against Greekers, and they're playing Bulls at Loftus, and we've won games there. We've played playing Lions, and it's always like you're going to this thing like you're the underdog, like you have that underdog mindset and mentality. So you kind of want to go in there and give them surprise or shock or whatever. You're going there, all guns blazing, if you can say it like that. They say the most dangerous thing is the underdog. So they always know they're going to bring a fight. So I think it's tough if you're a bigger union and you're going to play against the Griquas. I think the better thing to do is never underestimate them.
Yeah. Especially in Kimberley, which everybody talks about being one of the toughest places to play in the country. Before we go into the sort of the Cheetahs journey, so you now sort of made it in that sort of space. So what would your advice be to a young player who maybe doesn't get a contract, for example, doesn't even maybe get a scholarship, but believes that they can play at that level? What advice would you give them in terms of looking at the Varsity Cup as that stepping stone, as that opportunity to sort of get that exposure?
Yeah, I think definitely give it a try. Like you get a lot of people that, studying is not for me, and obviously you need to study to play Varsity Cup. So you get a lot of people say, I just want to play rugby. I study. I won't be able to study or whatever. I think there has to be a moment that you have to make that decision. It will definitely better you as a person and as a rugby player, because it's going to bring the best out of you. It's going to challenge you physically, mentally. But I think that is a great route to choose, instead of just trying to get a trial at a union, because there's so many players at unions at junior level at that moment. So if you're not one of that players that get contracted out of junior level, so definitely a great route to take for Varsity Cup, and try to take the road from there. So I would definitely encourage it.
And I mean, you've been involved. You've gone on the road. You've gone to Varsity Cup games. You're part of that sort of vibe. And it's amazing how at times we've seen bigger crowds at Varsity Cup games than you do. Right, and we're back for the second half. England trailing 4 points against Ireland, but have played particularly well so far this half. So interesting to see how things go. And Bandiaki, well, it's a good take eventually from the kickoff there, but a big half to come. Ireland 40 minutes away from potentially winning the Six Nations if they can get the victory. England can keep their Six Nations hopes alive if they were to win this game. We'll probably need a bonus point as well, really, to get them within touching distance of Ireland. They could go up to 2 points behind Ireland if they could deny Ireland any points and get themselves a bonus point win and knock on there from Ireland. So it'll be an England scrum. Right, so big opportunity early on in the second half, for England. Option available there for Mitchell goes to play the first team. And now that's Ferry Rabosa coming across there. Okay, from quick ball there from Mitchell. Gives it away to George Ford. Inside ball. Very well held on. But one on the ground by Josh van der Fleer. Well, actually, it's actually coming in from the side as the call. But that was because Josh van der Fleer was over that ball so quickly. Really, really good work from the former World Player of the Year. It's good work there for Van der Fleer getting over nice and early. And it's a big penalty to win, though. Right, so now Ireland further up the park here. And Dan Shear goes to the front of the line, goes to Peter O'Mahony. Such a good line operator is the Irish captain. High in the air there, and it's one back actually by Ireland. It's good work from them. They're on the front foot now. Gibson Park, quick ball going to Furlong, delays the pass. They can. Doris goes to Bandiaki. Bandiaki, this is going to be a try. 1, 2, and into James Lowe, into the corner. So good from Ireland. That is them. That is it. That could be the start of everything. It's the kick chase originally over here. Not winning it off there. Really good work there from Hugo Keenan. Then just running the hands. That delayed pass there from Currie. The rush defense, they get it completely wrong there. Bandiaki, good hands. The offload once again, really well timed. And into the corner goes James Lowe. Right, up against corner here now. 17 points to 8. And yeah, it was looking promising. But I think, unfortunately, that could be the try that really breaks England. They'll have to try. They have to score next if they're going to stay in this game. Very good try, though, from Ireland. Impressive stuff. Once again, Bandiaki underneath the kickoff. He's done really well in that position. Missing the conversion to Crowley. So it'll remain at 17 points to 8. And eventually the clearance does come. It's a good clearance in the end as well. As it stands, Ireland will go to 19 points, an unassailable 19 points. Scotland currently on 11 points, England on 8. We're pretty close, actually, if you look after Ireland. Ben making a few yards. Long pass out wide. That's really good. I tell you what, ball back inside, falls back to an Irish player. Freeman had a bit of space, looked really good. And Frawley, I think, he's taken a bit of a head knock there. I'll give some Park. We'll look to clear it. I'm looking to counter-attack. Yes, Henry Slade. Ollie Lawrence caught in the ball there, popping up to Earl. Gives it away to Feo Abosso. Nice, exciting young wing. Very physical player. George at first receiver, then forward. Now a bit of space there. Fernando Hill gets it away to Itoje. Good offload there to Furback. Furback into the corner. England say not just yet. I said they had to hit back. I said they had to be the next to score. They've done just that. That's their second try of the afternoon. Don't discredit them just yet, which is maybe what I did, but so don't listen to me. This was well earlier. Surely we're not going all the way back to that. It's the offload. Sam Handel dragging a play in, and James Lowe gets completely wrong, leaves it out, and Furbank goes over. Really, really good work. Yeah, good work there. Important time score as well. And George Ford once again. Yeah, look, not a good dart with the boot there from George Ford, and quite an important kick that. He's now left 9 points out there. They would actually have the lead. Good work there from Jack Crowley. Was caught on the ball there, and no advantage there. Then go back for the knock on. Yeah, so frustrating. Because I feel like Ford, two of them, I think he had to get. He had to get the penalty, which would then be 17 apiece. And if you just got one conversion, that actually leads. So frustrating, I think, for England, but they'll know that they've, by and large, been the better team. That was a really good try being scored by Ireland just now, but generally, I felt like England have been better. And Conor Murray's on, by the way. That's an interesting decision. Kieran Forley. So Kieran Forley's off for an HIA. So this is where the 6-2 split sort of comes to bite you. So I think Gibson Park will go to the wing. I have a reset here. Free kick there for England. And George Ford will take it quickly. And up the ball goes. And Dempsey gets a puck on the wing. Wow, it's a brilliant take from him. Tell you what. Now Conor Murray goes to the boot there. The box kicking expert. Good take that from George Ford under a bit of pressure. Now to the boot goes Alex Mitchell. Good work there from Gibson Park. Now Porter at first receiver. Crowley brings it to Robbie Henshaw. Henshaw goes, so it's Keenan out to Henshaw. And a penalty does come for Ireland. So England just losing a little bit there. You tighten things up a bit. Right, well, here comes some reinforcements. A new front row for England. Here comes Theo Dan, Will Stewart, and Joe Marler. Joe Marler sporting his blonde mohawk. And let's see if they can give them a little bit of an edge here. Good line, go short there. Okay, and Doris. Now Crowley. This is to the boot there, being chased by Keenan. This is inside 22. And who's come away with that? England have come away with that. They didn't manage to mark it, though. That's a really good take. Really good contact in the air. I think there were 3 players, actually, that went in the air there. Good work there from Will Stewart. His first carry. Now, Ben Earl. Now goes back to George Ford. And George Ford was not his best clearance, but he will find touch. But 25 minutes remaining on the clock. And England under a lot of pressure here from Ireland. Have to try and absorb this, though. So when will you roll the dice? When will Borthwick look to Marcus Smith? Do 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 do. The opportunity this. I think if Ireland score here. And it's gone back up for another line out. Murray going short, and they've knocked it on, yeah, Ireland. I think the referee might have gone the width of the way there, but more to the point, it's turnover ball here for England. And available for Mitchell, goes to George Ford. And Ford's looking for distance here. Back is Hugo Keenan, who's back to fullback with Gibson Park onto the wing. Ford marked it and then took it anywhere, and he's got up towards the halfway line there. And England actually steal the line out. So really good work, Ben Earl. Ben Earl finding space. He's straight through. Up to the 22. What a run that is from Ben Earl. Quick ball needed from Mitchell. And a penalty there from Peter O'Mahony. I tell you what, I think Peter O'Mahony could be at risk of a yellow card here. That could be quite cynical. Let's wait and see. But I think they could be in trouble here, could Peter O'Mahony. Yeah, yellow card. I think that's the correct decision from Amish Kelly. What a moment this is for England. Ireland down to 14 men. They've got James Gibson Park on the wing. I don't know if Rawley's going to be able to come back. And they've just lost their captain. And Slade is grabbed the ball. I think he's going to kick this into the corner. I'm not entirely sure why George Ford's not doing it. Look at that run from Dan Shear slipping the tackle there. And then just absolutely dusting James Lowe. Well, there it is. Marcus Smith onto the park for George Ford. So they're really rolling the dice. We have 22 minutes to go. A good take there from Sam Mandel at the back of the line out. Looking pretty good at the rolling maul as well. They'll really miss Peter O'Mahony at line out time now for the next 10 minutes, Will Ireland. And breaks away does Ben Earl. Short and presents it. Penalty advantage for England. Billy Boso. Good tackle on him. Now Martin, just short. Would have been tempted to have gone for it. Did really well not to. Now Lawrence. Marcus Smith. Hammond on the back there. Popped it up though. And Furbank looking for a space. Furbank straightens. Still a penalty advantage for England. Mitchell goes to Joe Marler. Mitchell now. Martin. He's carried well. Mitchell, dummy, goes himself, looking for offload. Chesham is just short. They need to release him so that they can recycle it. Ball available there for Mitchell. Benno! England are over. Well. Twisting the tail with 20 minutes to go. England take the lead back. With a kick to come, and it's right by the pole, so they should be able to get themselves a 3-point lead. And is the Six Nations yet still alive? This is the question. Right, Marcus Smith will make his return and would have a very straightforward opportunity at goal here to get his 2024 Six Nations points tally underway. And no issue for him whatsoever. Flags were raised and England take a 3-point lead with 20 minutes to go. Ben Earl, who deserved that try after a couple of nice breaks. Right, Crowley. And remember, right, Ireland down to 14 men for another 6.5 minutes as well. Still plenty of time for them to try and use that one-man advantage. Right, Beno, the try scorer underneath it. Finley beat him onto the park, by the way, as is Jack Conan, as is Ronan Keller here. Sam Underhill off the park for Chandler Cunningham South. And Mitchell looking for touch. Does find it. And penalty for Ireland there. You kind of got to feel that that's just silly. And from England, it's ill discipline, and they're going to go for the corner here. And the big thing is that that's going to run down the yellow card. They want to try and get over the line here. They've got to make it count. Good line of that for Ireland. Chasing me told to leave it. The ball does come down. So no penalty advantage for Ireland. Well defended by England. A good take one close to the ground there. Finley Beelum, his first carry. Cunningham himself trying to get over that ball. Crowley inside ball. They've lost it forward. You have Ireland. Turnover ball here for Freeman. Knock on advantage for England. And they'll just slow things down. Right, now Ireland back on the 10-meter line. Inside ball there, but it actually goes back to home. Actually holds on to it. 15 minutes to go. Ireland would take a point from this if they were to finish this. So go to 16. I think the big thing for me, I think, is if you want to see, for example, this being competitive, and I'll tell you what, he's knocked that forward there, Jamison Gibson. Ref. Yeah, I was about to say, Hugo Keenan thought he was going to go all the way in, but the referee is going to bring it back. I don't know how the referee didn't see that. Eventually managed to pick it up. Yeah, it was a good tackle there from Mario Tojo, just lodging the ball in the tackle there as Jamison Gibson Park. Right, 15 minutes left on the clock. Can they do it? Can they do it? Right, here comes Alex Dombrandt. So England really are making all the changes there. I think that's Henry Slade leaving the park. So Elliot Daly will come on at outside centre from the looks of it. That's an interesting call. And here he comes for his 100th cap. Danny Kerr will see off the rest of the game for England here. At a time where it looked like it was only ever going to be Ben Youngs and Danny Kerr. Those two scrum halves both bringing up 100 caps in a similar era. It's interesting, actually. Ben Youngs, of course, the leading or all-time leading appearance maker for England. Big scrum that from England. Good work from them. Now Marcus Smith goes to Elliot Daly. Elliot Daly does eventually get the kick away, but not quite the kick he wanted. He was absolutely hammered in the tackle. Gibson Park, who's been quite a bit of a live wire on the wing there. Turnover ball here for Ireland. And they need a spread here. Perry Wabose needs to get across and does get across to make the tackle on Jack Conan. Finds himself out on the wing there. Good offload there. Looking to rip the ball in the tackle, but it's the final minute, by the way, that Peter Marnie will be off. That's Ryan Baird, I think, has just come on. And they've won the penalty there, have England. Staying in the contest, but it's Ian Henderson who carried that up. All right, here we go. England up towards the 10-meter line inside Iron territory. All right, Danny Kerr listens to the boot. I think he's got a bit far there with that. And Gibson Park will be able to mark it and just slow things down. But poor there from Danny Kerr, to be perfectly honest. Should have done better. Good work there from England at the line out. Ball available there for Danny Kerr. We enter the final, just the final 10 minutes. Can they hold on? And Gibson Park, he's been really good under the high ball since having to move to the wing there, by the way. Jack Conan, that's a good hit there coming from Martin, who's been really, really good today. I've been really impressed by him. Right, and deep there from Ireland, and Mark Smith underneath it. And that is so poor. That is dreadful rugby. Marcus Smith popping it up to Chesham, who then gets tackled, and he's so isolated, and there's about 3 Irish players around him. They go straight over and win a penalty. Come now. And now all of a sudden, Ireland will kick into the 22 for a chance to win the game. The last 9 minutes, yeah, back to full contingent, by the way, Ireland. And Cian Healy onto the park as well, in place of Andrew Porter. So I'm pretty sure that's the entire bench. Penalty advantage here for Ireland. England defense here under a lot of pressure. Crowley, and that's it. James Lowe will go in for his second, and Ireland back in the lead. Yeah, it's coming, unfortunately. And you go back to how silly that penalty was to concede. And I said at the time, I said, that's the kind of penalty you cannot concede. And England can only blame themselves because, yeah, I mean, there was no pressure, no reason to botch that. And they gifted the penalty away. Well, he misses it as Crowley, so it remains a 2-point lead. It's quite a significant point because that means that England penalty will put them back in the lead. Deep restart, start 22. Conor Murray going to the boot. Won't find touch though. Marcus Smith caught on the ball by Keenan. Gets it away to Kerr. To Elliot Daly. His first touch of the ball. Well, his first carry, I suppose. Got hammered earlier. And he's tried to kick it ahead. Now, first carry there from Theo Dan. And a penalty for England on the halfway. It'll be out with the... I suppose it'll be in the range of Elliot Daly if he wants to have a crack. Elliot Daly's called for kicking tee. He's going to have a go here, Elliot Daly. We know that he's got a 50-meter kick with it in his arsenal. The question is, can he do it under the pressure? He's missed it. Yeah, he's got more than enough distance, I think. Just pull it towards the right. Worth having a go, though. 4 minutes left on the clock there. Owen Farrell, how much they'd like to have him on the field right now. Elliot Daly over the top onto the bounce to Freeman. His tackle, you have to release him. Cunningham South gets the all away to Marcus Smith. Marcus Smith! Into the 22, needs support. Just short here, England. Danny Kerr looking for the grabber, and he's giving it away. Silly, silly, silly. Why? Just be patient. Just be patient. Never should have done that, should Danny have Kerr. Player of his experience should have known better as well. And now James Lowe will clear. Won't find touch. All right, and Bernard will run it back as he has the entire game. Drifting, looking for a bit of space. Back into the 22, England go. Danny Kerr, quick ball here to Marcus Smith. Bit of space there. Freeman needs to try to stay in. Ball over the top. Ball back inside. Oh, can't keep it back inside. So it'll be an island line out. It's heating up. 2-point game. I mean, what games we've had today, really? Did well to keep it in there, and then just, yeah, unfortunately, Furbank was well tackled. They need to compete here. Ronan Kelleher, pressure the line out here. Cunningham South is down, shaking his head. 2 minutes left. Can England find something? Huge line out this. England win this line out, and they could yet find something here. I feel if Ireland win this line out, this could be the end of the game. And there goes Cunningham South. Pity, he looked pretty good when he was on. And they do try, but they don't manage to contest now. Jack Conan. Good carry from him. Can England find a penalty here? Conor Murray does find his clearance eventually, but England all the way back towards the halfway line. They've got just over a minute left. Well, I think it could be a story of close but no cigar. There is still a minute to play. But I'd be very surprised if England can find that last opportunity. Smith, what can England conjure up? Elliot Daly. Cuts back inside, does Freeman. Kidd on the right-hand side to Marcus Smith. Marcus Smith to favour Bosi, needs to come back inside. Good carry from him, really good carry from him. They're 5 minutes out, show England. And they've got a penalty advantage as well. Goodness me, the drama. The drama. Benel. Theodan. He's, oh, jeez, I almost thought he was through. Ball still available there for England. They need that try because it's a really difficult kick, and Ty Burns is just going to go and concede it, basically, I think. Penalty, another penalty advantage. That's a much easier one there. So that should be the could probably be the game, to be honest. Marcus Smith says, no, thank you very much. I'll take the drop goal. And he's won it at the death. Well, there it is. There it is. They've done it. The best team in the world, in inverted commas, have been dethroned by England. The Six Nations is alive. What a game. What a game. Look at the celebrations there from England. It's a drop goal right at the end there. They had the penalty advantage. It would have been a pretty straightforward penalty anyway, but very, very good. Very, very good. They had to come back right towards the end, and we've seen the drama at Italy. We've seen the drama at England, and what a game it was. People, thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you guys all next time.